Hello, my name is Tyler Watts. I'm a professor here at St. Edward's University. The purpose of this discussion is to open up dialogue about the positive and negative effects of outsourcing. The man to my left is Michael Murad. He is a small business owner who is looking to outsource in the future. He sees the pros and cons of outsourcing. To his left is Hashem Al-Yusuf. He's a student here at St. Edward's University, and he is for outsourcing. To his left is Ahmed Al-Nasser. He is from the Government Staffing Service, and he believes that outsourcing is bad. And to his left is Ahmad Al-Nawami from the Government Company Authority, and he is against outsourcing as well. Each panelist has 90 seconds to answer a question, and there will be 3 minutes to answer questions at the end. First question. Is the profit and revenue of the company affected by outsourcing? And this will go to Michael Murad first.
I'm Michael Murad, and I am both for and against outsourcing, depending on the company and varying on their overall direction. Companies are always looking to cut costs in any way they can, and one of the most efficient ways of doing that is outsourcing. Outsourcing provides an opportunity to get help you need for your business without the worry about salaries, benefits, or paying for office spaces. While outsourcing has its drawbacks, there are a slew of benefits with this particular business direction. According to Intel's CRM, which is a customer relation management, 80% of companies that outsource do so because of the cost. Because of the cost of paying for the full-time salaries of the employees. Businesses not only save money on outsourcing jobs, but also benefit from outsourcing call centers, distribution centers, and other operations that require a great deal of infrastructure.
And I'll move the question over to Hashem.
Companies benefit, the profit of the company benefits from outsourcing because of 4 major things. First of all, cheaper labor. Workers in developing countries are paid far less than workers here due to lower cost of living. Second of all, cut in operating costs. The cost of outsourcing operations are cheaper if a company performs the operations itself. Lower salaries are part of this benefit, but it goes much deeper because you will end up spending much less on every employee. Lower labor training costs is also another thing. Training new employees is very expensive. A new employee would need 1 to 3 weeks of training before they begin to work. And when you outsource your customer service core functions, the outsourcing firm takes care of all of this. Also, companies wouldn't have to pay taxes to the government, which increase their profit. According to Wipro LTE, India's 3rd largest software service exporter, their net income rose 24% to 300 million because of outsourcing in the past quarter.
Pass it over to Ahmed Al-Nasser.
All right, hi. My name is Ahmed Al-Nasser. I'm a government staffing employment. I'm against outsourcing. Yes, definitely it will be affected. First of all, the quality of the product. How is it made? Does it meet the regulation and safety? Also, there is another big issue that a lot of companies are facing with outsourcing. Are they taking employees to another country, which will save them a lot of money? Most of the people prefer to talk to employees in the U.S., as CNN Money stated. It's difficult to communicate with the employee if their English is not that good, and it will hurt the reputation of the company, as well as to increase profit due to the miscommunication. For example, AT&T, they worked to India and Philippines, where they made $3 billion annual saving for outsourcing. AT&T made reviews about about the outsourcing, customer satisfaction. The reviews were a lot of people are finding it hard to communicate with the employees, and the problems does not get solved due to the employees not understanding the problem.
Now I'll pass it to Ahmed Al-Nawami. His response.
My name is Ahmed Al-Naimi, and I work for the Government Companies Authority. Well, actually, for the profit and the revenue of the company, it is affected by outsourcing. As for first, outsourcing is taking a risk. It's giving sensitive data and loss of privacy, which may affect the profit of the company. Also, the loss of management. You won't be able to control the operations and deliveries on time. There is as well, you have the hidden costs is another thing, and there's the legal problems which may arise. Not having conditions clearly defined. As well as there is unexpected costs, which should become more predictable, where suppliers are likely to be having substantial additional charges for anything extra.
We'll go to our second question. Do companies benefit from outsourcing? And we'll direct this one to Michael Murad first.
I believe that companies, both large and small, can benefit from outsourcing, but at the same time can encounter setbacks. And the setbacks such as poor quality, poor customer service, slow delivery time are all part of the setbacks. A survey done in October found that 55% of companies were considerably dissatisfied with their outsourced provider. Only 34% said that their outsourcing provider had good quality and feedback from customers. In less than half, 41% said that outsourcing met their performance metrics. While outsourcing can be a quick fix to lowering cost in your company, in the long run, it can backfire badly on your company. Every company wants to be in the prime spot of not outsourcing at all and outsourcing too much.
We'll redirect it to Hashem.
There are a lot of benefits to outsourcing. First, it makes the company focus on their core activities. Companies will divert their attention from supplementary tasks to focus on their core functions. And when these supplementary tasks are outsourced, the company can bring better services and products into the market. For example, Honda Motors outsourced its IT maintenance work so that its staff can focus more on user requirements to deliver better services instead of spending time on routine components. Cost savings is another benefit of outsourcing. According to Accenture, management consulting, technology and outsourcing firm, outsourcing leads to a cost saving of 25% to 30%. Outsourced partners international estimated the cost of saving to reach up to 50%. In addition, outsourcing offers other benefits such as provider alternatives, transfer risk to vendors, elimination of internal policies, recruitment and training.
And redirect it to Ahmed Al-Nasser.
Yes, companies do benefit from outsourcing when it comes to manufacture, but there are many disadvantages. One of them is the loss of managerial control. Whether you sign a contract or with the company that you outsource for, you will lose the managerial control. Also, they will have control over your product. The second thing is the hidden cost. There will be additional charges which we won't know about, like you're going to pay a lawyer to review your contract between you and the company. And third of all is the quality problem. Since you have a contract with them, they can't change the price, right? You're wrong. They can decrease the expenses and still meet your requirement, which they can make your product less cheap. They use like disadvantageous product, and which they will gain more profit from.
Redirect it to Ahmed Al-Nawami.
Well, companies will not benefit as much from outsourcing where there are likely to be substantial additional charges for anything extra, as well as it's difficult to reverse. Once an activity is outsourced and internal know-how is gone, it can be very difficult to bring the process back in-house again. This is particularly relevant when a contract comes up for renewal. The price increases. Price increase might be higher than expected, but it can be difficult to abandon the supplier. Also, the success depends on the company's performance. There is always dependency between buyers and sellers. Outsourcing shifts more responsibility for the success to other companies' performance. It is important for outsourced company. If an important outsourced company goes bankrupt, there can be serious consequences. So these are the companies do not benefit as much from outsourcing.
And now for the third question, directed to Michael Murad. Are the economies, foreign or domestic, affected by outsourcing?
Outsourcing has produced labor shortages in many emerging economies. For example, China has seen a 100% salary inflation, and India is not far behind that. If you want to save money, you have to take everyone with you, and you have to convince those involved that the world would be a better place with outsourcing. A good example has been the tensions over relocating call centers and software support from countries like the UK and the US to India. Statistics show that more than 230,000 jobs are lost each year in America from outsourcing. But many economists believe that just as many jobs are created at the same time. Every job we create in these countries through outsourcing can create many other jobs as money flows in the national economy. By investing in these countries, we are also hoping to develop new markets for our own businesses, which is good for everyone.
And directed to Yashim.
Outsourcing has an overall positive effect on the U.S. economy. It saves money for companies, cuts costs, and increases profit. It opens up opportunities for greater entrepreneurship in the U.S., which makes more competition, and it leads to more Americans holding higher level jobs. Outsourcing also benefits domestic economies, where they create more job opportunities and generate more cash into the economy.
And over to Ahmed.
A lot of economics think that the domestic is really affected from outsourcing through cheaper clothes, toys, and electronics, as CNN pointed out. According to the Wall Street Journal, U.S. multinational companies founded that outsourcing had 2.4 million jobs overseas from 2000 to 2012. According to the study by the U.S. Bureau of Economics Analysts, large American companies in 2012 barely added any workers in the United States. Also, in the U.S. presidential campaign, outsourcing was a big issue to talk about. Barack Obama stated that there should be a taxation on the companies that outsource. According to the Voters Unite, there are 71 voters who are against outsourcing, which shows that the domestic get affected more than the foreign.
And that's to Ahmed on Naomi for his response.
Actually, I strongly agree that outsourcing has a negative impact on the economy. The unemployment rate has increased. Outsourcing, while it's a profitable move for big businesses, realistically, it hurts the economy by removing manufacturing jobs. Small businesses account for the majority of the job creation in this country. Now, by moving jobs overseas or across the borders, families are hit hard because their skills are no longer marketable. Outsourcing solves the problem for filling low-paying jobs with individuals from other countries, but does it solve it here? No. Jobs that can be done here are sent overseas. That's unfair for the country as well. If you were born here, you deserve the job, not people that have nothing to do with the country. And that's why it affects the economy by outsourcing.
And we'll get to our last question. Does outsourcing have an effect on the quality and safety of products? And we'll direct that first to Michael Murad.
I think we can all agree that outsourcing is not going anywhere as long as it makes economic sense. And I believe that quality is compromised when the sole purpose for outsourcing is to reduce the cost. Of course, this answer is not completely accurate because the truth is that there are very educated and skillful employees overseas who are fully capable of completing the task just as well as domestic employees could. However, when domestic candidates are being considered and price is the governing factor, quality is often compromised. For example, Master Lock Company, they are a new company, they were established in 2002, and they were debating outsourcing. And when they finally decided to outsource a few years later, of course the sole governing factor for them to outsource was the price. And a few years later, they recalled nearly 1 million locks that they had made due to poor quality. And the locks manufactured in China were far below par, and they had a whole bunch of dissatisfied customers.
We'll pass it over to Hashem.
There is no guarantee that all products manufactured overseas will have reliable and safe components, but companies can perform several tasks to significantly eliminate this risk. According to Jeremy Kutner, writer in Business Week, in order to ensure that every component of the product meets federal and industry safety standards, firms need to follow each batch to its original source and check that everyone in the supply chain is legitimate. Companies has to cooperate with their suppliers, and they should be assured that suppliers understand the whole manufacturing process. A good example of this is Motorola Communication Company. The corporation sent a team of engineers to work with the suppliers, and 6 months later, the supplier gained Six Sigma certification, which is a universal recognized badge of quality. I think educating the factory workers at the start is essential because they will be more confident in producing a company's product in the future, and the outsourcing company can put more trust in the supplier's performance. Quality inspections are also important. In order to maintain quality, an independent third-party tester should be hired to inspect the product through its production cycle. And inspections should be made.
I'll have to cut you off there. Pass it over to Ahmed Al-Nasser.
Yes, I think outsourcing have an effect on quality and safety of the product. Due to outsourcing, companies has to follow quality and safety rules. There was an incident that happened, according to the Guardian newspaper, on Monday, 13 August 2007. Zhang Xuan, the boss of a major supplier in China, supplier Toy, committed suicide after 1.5 million product got withdrawn because of safety fears about toys sold in the US, Europe, and Britain. The product had a lot of lead paint, which can cause diarrhea and vomiting, headache, which can cause children to die. The company lost 30 million, which will cut off 5,000 employees. As you can see, it really affected the company name and the brand, such as quality-wise. I want to buy a toy for children which can kill them.
Pass it over to Ahmed Al-Nuaimi for his response.
The quality effect, it can arise if the outsourcing provider doesn't have the proper management, where jobs are performed in a poor quality manner. This brings it to the safety of the product, with the privacy and security of outsourcing. Some processes can give the supplier information that could be valuable or sensitive. Keeping a process in the home country, this should increase the security. Some things you can't control regarding the safety of the company. You will not have the management control as you do being in the home country, where you can keep an eye about what's happening. Unfortunately, many of the job functions that are outsourced only cost less, because the jobs that are performed in poor quality manner. parts that are made will not be able to sustain the same maximum specifications that the parts produced in the same home country.
That's it for the question panel, or the question portion of this panel. I'd like to thank the panelists for attending and joining us here. And I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today as well to discuss outsourcing. To recap, Michael Murad is both for and against outsourcing, varying on the company's size and overall direction. Hashem Al-Youssef thinks outsourcing is good for the economy, consumers, and businesses. Ahmed Al-Nasser talked about how he is against outsourcing and gave his evidence for the negative effects of it. And Ahmed Al-Nawemi gave the negative facts of outsourcing companies, and he defended it. Are there any questions in the audience? Yes.
How does outsourcing differ from small to large companies?
This will be directed to Michael Murad. The question is, how does outsourcing differ from small companies to large companies?
Small companies, they usually outsource their distribution centers, accounting centers, call centers, and other structures in other countries, not for the money though. They outsource those parts of their business so they can focus in on the core of their company and growing and exceeding those of their competitors. Whereas large companies outsource, large companies mainly and often outsource due to the cost of their business and to gain profits.
And are there any other questions? Yes.
In your opinion, what company has been successful while outsourcing?
This will be directed to Hashem Al-Youssef, and the question was, in your opinion, what company has been successful while outsourcing?
It's Accenture, a company headquartered in Dublin, Ireland. It's one of the largest in the world, and it employs more than 257,000 employees worldwide. It has 80,000 employees in India, 40,000 in the US, and 35,000 in the Philippines. Another one is Tata Consulting Services, which is the 7th in the world. Their net income was 44% to 652 million because of outsourcing.
Are there any other questions in the audience? Yes.
How those working conditions differ from companies that outsource rather than companies that don't?
The question was, how do working conditions differ from companies that outsource rather than companies that don't? And that's directed to Ahmed Al-Nawemi.
Well, first, there's a communication gap, which is said to be one of the faults of outsourcing, where the person who the work is outsourced to may not be familiar with the particular culture, and the lack of understanding could reflect on the work that's performed, while companies that don't have a similar problem. Problems with quality can arise if the outsourcing provider doesn't have the proper process and is inexperienced in working in outsourcing relationship. As well as there is Walmart, where more than 100 workers have died in a garment factory fire in November 24 in Bangladesh, which was making product for Walmart and Sears, and it had no emergency exits or emergency evacuation procedures. But which Walmart officials decided against agreeing to pay suppliers more so that they could upgrade their manufacturing facilities and pay for the cost of safety improvements.
And that concludes our question for our panel for today. And I'd like to thank you all again for attending, and I'd like to thank the panelists for joining us as well. And that's it.